that leads us now into the front pages of our newspapers. And the first one, I think, is the Business Day. That's what we've got up first there, and I've got that one for you this morning. So the Business Day, and the photograph there on the Business Day is a picture from the Mzansi Get Together. That's members and supporters of Rise Mzansi gather at Heartfelt Arena in Pretoria. This was on Saturday for the launch of the party's election manifesto. So that's what you're seeing there on the front page. Then the other one, the story that they're looking at is saying court refuses 1 billion rand SARS order. Tax agency fails in a bid to claw back refunds of duties and levies paid to Petro SA on fuel exports for nearly 10 years. That's an interesting one. So this is all the state-owned oil company, Petro SA. This is a case that shows that the tax agency allowed companies to export fuel from unlicensed depots for nearly a decade. So yeah, you can read that and get details about it. Industry in limbo over bird flu vaccines. Not one poultry farm has been given the go-ahead for vaccination against avian influenza, even as the industry has applied for permission and feels that it is urgently needed. So yeah, I'm not going to tell you more about that, but that's another big story. And then finally, we've cut that off, but it's also right at the bottom of the newspaper there. It says, S&P, banks can absorb more state debt. Just a quick one there. The S&P agency, S&P Global, says that SA banks, which have assets valued at about 110% of GDP, have the capacity to absorb more of Pretoria's ballooning debt pile. So those are the big stories that they are focusing in on.
Right, moving on to the Star. Their lead story this morning, ANC bigwigs take on Zuma. Now, the party faithful hit out at former president over his decision to support new rival. ANC leaders from KwaZulu-Natal, including Spoon Debele and Sihle Zigalala, who once worked closely with former President Jacob Zuma, are now taking him on as he campaigns vigorously for the newly formed MK party. Also goes on to talk about what happened last week when Bheki Cele, the Minister of Police, was addressing activists in eThekwini, where he criticized Zuma for saying that he will return to the union buildings to fix the country's challenges, to which Cele, of course, said he had supreme power of the presidency. All of a sudden he wants to fix things. If he wanted to fix things, he should have done it while he was the president, not to come here now and talk about fixing things. Zuma then promised to reveal compromising details about his colleagues, and Cele, of course, welcomed that, saying that they also have sensitive information that the former president wishes to keep quiet. So that's where that is at right now. And then woman arrested over Joburg blaze. Story we've been carrying in the news. Fire at a commercial building in Joburg CBD, where a woman has been arrested after she was seen setting that fire to a Joburg building yesterday morning, which claimed the lives of 2 people. Also in the body of the paper, a deputy mayor elected amid fraud claims. This is in the city of Tshwane. And the fraud claims here stem from the EFF, who say that Dr. Nasipi Moya, who's now the deputy mayor, accepted a 10,000 rand, which was for, I think, SNT, for a trip to the Middle East or somewhere. And the trip was cancelled, but they are claiming that perhaps she didn't repay the 10,000 rand, give it back to the city or something like that. So that's what that centers around. Those are some of the stories they deal with in today's Star.
All right, let's get to the Citizen now. The Citizen, big photo of a champion on the front page there. Aldricus, he's our champion, our world champion, the middleweight champion there for UFC. No weet hulle wat ons weet. The famous words that were echoed from him on that lovely victory. So, and you know, one thing I did see, the first thing he asked for was his South African flag. He's like, bring me the flag. I love that moment. So South Africa's Dricus du Plessis celebrates beating American Sean Strickland in the UFC middleweight title fight. And this happened in Canada, in Toronto, in the early hours of Saturday morning. It's a split decision, but South Africa did take that one. So it was absolutely amazing. Anger over pop-up school. The Kuruleni has no application records for a school built overnight in Birchley Kempton Park, complete street with Wendy houses and no time for proper toilets. Residents just one day saw the bulldozers move in and are now up in arms, with the DA calling the Gulag Light. But the Gauteng Department of Education says it's above board. All right, so there you go. And that's, I mean, pretty much so that's the big ones, except for one about seals attacking tourists in Plett. Can you believe it? And Dr. Dulcie, knock to your knees, get up. So that's just another story on the side there.
Right, and finally, moving on to the Sowetan, they're going as they lead the story, the fire in the Joburg CBD, a fire hazard, deadly arson, a reminder most buildings not compliant with fire regulations, officials warn. And the city says it has obtained 6 orders to evacuate occupants from unsafe slums. Only few spots for students at varsity. Also use journaling to introspect and heal. UNISA cost me job opportunities and reject Zuma's delusions of grandeur, the opinion piece in today's Sowetan. So that takes care of the front pages of our newspapers.
Remember SABC's website, we've got everything covered there for you as well. Catch all the latest stories that are coming out from the country, from all corners of South Africa, as well as the continent and the world as well. Everything you see here on SABC News as well. Interviews are uploaded and you'll be able to watch them there too. And on radio, podcasts, you name it, your one-stop shop when it comes to news. So please do visit sabcnews.com and you'll be up to date. But right now, though, it's 7 o'clock. Here's your news with SK.